Yo guys, welcome to the second tutorial of Sun and Dorman. Today I'm gonna show you some shortcuts that will help you on your way through Photoshop and will make your work more fluently. So first we start off with pressing Ctrl and O, which will allow us to normally open our layer. Oh fuck this. Okay, yeah. I didn't select Photoshop. Now this window pops up and we can select our image we want to open in Photoshop. Here we got it. Now to go on, we may want to transform this image. To do this, we could easily press Ctrl and T, so this image gets this nice black border. For now, we can just right click and maybe select Scale, Rotate, Skew, Distort, Perspective or Warp, or just rotate it by an angle. You can also hold Shift and resize the image like this. By holding Shift when resizing the picture, you guarantee that it resizes it by the same scale on width and height, and it doesn't give you an output like this, for example. When you, for example, do not press Shift while resizing it, you can just drag it around like this. While pressing Shift, it will always make a nice form out of it. Okay. To apply your selection, just press Enter. Now, for example, if we do not want to resize it like we just did, we may want to undo our latest step. To do this, we can just press Ctrl and Z. Now the step has been undone. To undo further steps, you can just press Ctrl and Z, but you have to press Ctrl, Alt and Z. You can so move on and undo several steps. For example, if we draw some shit here, or erase something, blah blah blah, and we press Ctrl, Alt and Z, we can just undo all the steps we just did. The steps that can be undone are limited though. I don't know how many, I guess about 20. So be careful. Okay, so now, if you want to redo a step, we have to press Ctrl, Shift and Z. So now, this way we can redo all the steps we just undid. Okay, now I'm gonna show you something about selections. If you want to select your whole picture, you just have to press Ctrl and A, and it will select everything. For undoing the selection, you just have to press Ctrl and D, so your selection will be gone. It also works like this: if you select something out of here, press Ctrl and D, and the selection will be gone. In case you want to select the inverse of the selection you just did, just press Ctrl, Alt and E. Oh wait, Ctrl, Shift and E. Ctrl, Shift and E, and the selection will be the inverse. Also now, if you got a selection, you can also fill the selection you just made by pressing Shift and F5. Now you get this sneaky little window where you can select your foreground, background color or some other color. We'll just select light green here and press OK. So now you got the selection filled. By undoing this, just deselect your selection by pressing Ctrl and D and press Ctrl and Z, Ctrl Alt and Z to undo your steps. Okay. Now when we apply a filter, for example a blur filter, field blur, like this, and we want to redo the filter we just made, we can easily do this by only pressing Ctrl and F. So the filter will be done again. I'm just gonna undo those actions. Okay, now we're gonna move on to this layers panel here. Here you can see your layers. Now, to make things easier for you, you can, I will give you some shortcuts for this panel. To duplicate your layer, you can press Ctrl and J. You can also do this with more than one layer. You can just select all the layers by pressing either one layer, then Control and select the other layer, or selecting one layer and holding Shift, so you can select more layers. Now when you press Control and J, you will duplicate those layers you just selected. Now we want to group those layers. So you just select all the layers you've got here, press Ctrl and G, now those will be grouped. You can also rename layers or groups by double-clicking on the text here. By double-clicking next to the text, you will open the layer style options. To undo your group, you can either do a right-click and ungroup layers, or you can just press Ctrl, Shift and G, so they're undone. Now to merge layers, you can select them all, right-click and do merge layers. So we get our normal layer again. We'll just name this one Optimus. By creating a completely new layer, you can either click on this button here next to the trash can for a new layer, or you can just press Ctrl, Shift and N. So here you get your layer options. You can name your layer like new layer in, for example. Select the background color, maybe red, or normally you just use none, and already select the blending mode or the opacity. Now you click on OK and a new layer will be created. Now you see on the left there is this nice red color which helps you to, for example, find your layers faster and get a bit of structure into this when you got tons of layers on this side. Okay, now so now some shortcuts about zoom. You can easily zoom by just holding Alt and scrolling with your mouse. It should work. So if you scroll upwards it will zoom in, and downwards it will zoom out. And for pressing, when pressing Control and 0, you will just make it fit to the screen. Okay. Now something about your canvas here. When you got those rulers, they will help you anyways. You can just blend them in or out by pressing Ctrl and R. So here we get those rulers in, and now we get in and out. Exactly. You can also create some guidelines here by just going onto this ruler here on one side, holding your left mouse key and dragging this in. Now you got the guideline, you can place it wherever you want it. You can also do this with the top side and do some guideline here. In my version of Photoshop you can show or hide those guidelines by pressing Ctrl and the comma key like this, or you can just go to View, Show and click Guides here. I don't know what is your shortcut for hiding those guidelines. You should normally just find it here. Okay, and now some normal shortcuts that are also used in, for example, in Windows, when you, in any operating system, when you got a selection and you press Control and Z. Oh yeah, okay, I got an empty layer here. Just gotta delete it. When you got hit Control and Z, you're copying the selection you just made, and by pressing Control and V, you're putting it in again. This will automatically create a new layer here, and you got it like this. By deleting a layer, you can just select this or highlight this and press delete on your keyboard. Okay, so now for finishing this, you can just hit Control and S to save your work, or you can hit Control, Shift and S to make a Save As selection. So now I can rename it to whatever. Here you can select your format, whatever you want to have it in. Here JPEG, PNG, or a normal PSD file, and just hit save. For closing your project here, you can press Ctrl and W, so it closes the project, and for closing Photoshop you can just press Ctrl and Q. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. More tutorials are coming soon. See ya.